can even add a slideshow full of pictures. I can go into it, and I'll pick some photos right here, and drag them in. Oops. Drag them in. And iDVD goes and imports them all. And I can make big thumbnails if I want to. I can set the duration. I can even give them a soundtrack. And I can go back here and even pick one of those again for my thumbnail. So that's iDVD. And when I'm done, I simply push one button, and it asks me to insert a DVD-R blank disc, and it will burn me a disc that will play in almost any DVD player. So that is iDVD. Now, this is one of our most leading-edge apps. This is going to explode over the next year or two. But even now, since we first shipped iDVD a year ago, and the SuperDrive a year ago, we have sold over 1 million blank DVD-R discs. There's a lot of people out there making DVDs. And finally, iTunes. iTunes is simply the best digital music jukebox player in the world. I can find songs here, you know, type in love, maybe type in part of George Harrison's name, and find one of these songs here. And of course, I can build playlists. I've got a playlist of George Harrison songs right here. I can burn a CD by just hitting a button. And again, it'll ask me to insert a blank disc and burn a whole playlist onto a CD. It's so simple. And now, I can take an iPod and just plug it in. An iPod will just automatically start communicating and go ahead and sync up with iTunes here in just a second. Anytime now. Anyway, you know what it's supposed to do. So, that is iTunes. And again, we have distributed over 8 million copies of iTunes. And we've got a lot of really, really happy iTunes users out there. So, these are our first 3 Digital Hub applications. And they are sensational. And each one is on version 2. So, we're well on our way to building the complete Digital Hub. But what about this? What about the digital camera? Digital cameras are exploding, and as I said, they are revolutionizing the way we take pictures. Last year, 2001, 6 million digital cameras were sold in the US alone. That's a pretty big number. As a matter of fact, if you look at all the cameras that were sold in the US, and you exclude only those one-time use throwaway cameras, digital cameras were 30% of all cameras sold in the US. 30%. This is exploding. What are we going to do about it? Well, today we are introducing our 4th Digital Hub application, iPhoto. And it's killer. So, what was the problem that iPhoto is supposed to solve? Well, we started off listening to folks, and they said, you know, what you have to do, the chain of events you do when you plug a digital camera into your computer is you've got to import your photos, which can be a nightmare. You've got to edit them, which can be a nightmare. And you've got to print them, which can be a nightmare. Use multiple applications. It's a mess. And if you could solve this, it would be huge. As a matter of fact, this is such a difficult thing that some of the magazines have dubbed this the chain of pain. So what did we do with iPhoto? We made iPhoto so that when you plug it in to your Mac's USB or FireWire port, iPhoto launches automatically, and with one button, you can import all of your photos in. It stores them, catalogs them, automatically builds thumbnails and displays them. One button. Great. Off to a good start. What about editing? Do I have to go to another program to crop my photos, which is the #1 thing people want to do? No. iPhoto has super easy, super precise cropping. It makes it so easy to crop your photos and undo them and try them another way until you get exactly what you're looking for. And what about printing? Printing's a nightmare. These inkjet printers are marvels of the modern world, but they have so many settings that you could spend years finding the optimum settings to print photography on these things. And each one's different. You change printers, you got to relearn everything. We have unified this all under a special print panel for iPhoto that hides all of that complexity. All you have to do is pick your printer, pick the type of paper you're using, and set your margins and push print, and you will get dynamite prints. And all of the magic is under the hood. So, import, edit, print. The chain of pain, iPhoto is going to revolutionize. And we also have color sync, this amazing technology that was invented at Apple over a decade ago that keeps your colors looking pure and true every step of the way in iPhoto, from importing to editing to printing, all managed by color sync. So you get what you think you want to get. Now, we thought we had solved the problem with these breakthroughs in importing, editing, and printing. But as we started to get deeper into it, we realized we hadn't even scratched the surface. This is just the ante to play the game. Because when you take photographs with film, you end up with this. A shoebox with your prints and, even more importantly, your negatives in it. It's hard to find stuff, but it's still there. With digital photography, you end up with a bunch of .jpg files and folders that are real easy to throw away and very, very hard to find something in. So the first thing we realized is that we had to safely store your photos, to create, if you will, the digital shoebox.